My wife, named Karina, worked diligently as a secretary in the construction company Oka initially. I completely trusted her because she tirelessly devoted herself to her work, sometimes even working overtime. However, recently it became clear that her dedication to the job extended beyond just office duties. Tonight, while on duty, I accidentally had the chance to see her leaving the Plaza Hotel, this time accompanied by her boss. And here is where the turning point begins. The sight of their passionate kiss, their departure in a large car, and disappearing into the night far from home, all of this was a real shock for me. Perhaps overtime work was indeed the cause of such stress. But a chance discovery of the hotel entrance revealed an even more shocking scene. A live P***R**N* graphic scene unfolded on the screen in front of me, starring my wife. Her vivacity and the lustful looks of the dark-skinned men were captivating. The situation became even stranger when I discovered that this film was recorded by a hidden camera and there was no audio track. I tried to make sense of what happened, but remained in complete bewilderment. This unexpected aspect of her life left me in shock and raised numerous questions for which I am not yet ready to find answers. The Hotel Plaza surveillance operator smiled. "Watch until the end, there's the most interesting part," he said. I turned back to the screen. The woman, helpless, lay on the bed, bending her left leg at the knee. Suddenly, a man dressed in a formal suit appeared in the frame. He sat on the bed and started kissing her body. The woman's body arched, and she convulsed in a powerful orgasm. Well, quality P***R**N in general, everything as usual. A classic of the genre, I said. Except that the man in the formal suit is the CEO and owner of the construction company Oka. And the main character of this show is my wife, Karina. I suppose this is the only copy of the video. I tried to speak with an indifferent tone, hiding the disc in my pocket, of course. The operator still took me for a lover of spicy stuff. "Now you understand why it costs so much?" I asked and silently placed the banknotes on the edge of the table. "Tomorrow evening at 11:30 in the same room," I said without saying goodbye, and left. Karina came home almost midnight. I hadn't gone to bed yet and was watching some nonsense on TV. Occasionally sipping whiskey from a glass, my wife took off her shoes, and her graceful silhouette appeared in the doorway, filling the room with the scent of expensive perfume. "Darling, I'm home." She softly enlightened and tried to kiss me on the lips. I gently pushed her away and offered my cheek. After what I had seen, I had no desire to kiss her. "I love you, honestly." I didn't even know where I could kiss her anymore. Oh, Lord, I'm so tired. Karina sat on the couch and crossed her legs, worked all day, then went shopping, and also sat in a cafe with friends. I sympathetically looked at my wife. Poor girl, no wonder she's tired. Not every guy can handle that. "Tomorrow I'll come very late. We're preparing documents for a tender. I'll have to stay. Can't trust anything to anyone. Everything needs to be done by myself." I smiled at the situation. Her words sounded ambiguous. I got up from the couch. "Sorry, dear. I'll go lie down. Tomorrow is a tough day for me too. Love you." Karina smacked her lips, simulating a kiss. "Me too." In the morning, I had already outlined my plans. Glancing at my wristwatch, I noticed that the glowing dial showed 10:30 in the evening, while the car dashboard clock lagged behind by a minute and a half. Deciding to adjust the time, I lazily let my thoughts run through the twists and turns of my brain. Slipping out through my left ear, the heat was stifling, the air conditioner wasn't helping much, and a dense, heavy atmosphere hung in the air, a typical end of July without the moon, with a hazy mist rising over the heated asphalt. Approaching the intersection, where a narrow dark street intersected another, I decided to turn right and park by the sidewalk. After opening the glove compartment and taking out a thermos of cold tea, savoring sips, I leaned back in the seat, closing my eyes for a moment. Suddenly, I felt a slight pain in the area of my heart. Silence reigned around, and it seemed like I was completely alone in the city. Continuing to drink tea, I placed the thermos on the front seat and looked at the watch again, 23:10. It was time to move. I started the car and headed into the alley. The roads here were worse. The road framed by gloomy old houses required special attention. Sometimes I had to slow down, overtaking potholes, sometimes even hugging the sidewalk to minimize speed. Reaching the intersection, I turned onto a well-lit street, pressed the gas pedal, and the car gained speed, finding myself in the city center. I slowed down and slowly drove along the sidewalk, not meeting a soul. The night had already enveloped the sleepy city. Approaching the Plaza Hotel exactly at 11:30 in the evening, I found that the guest parking was occupied and I had to leave the car opposite, right under the windows of a residential building. Trying to do everything unhurriedly, I took out my cane, put on a hat, and took a case with tools from the trunk, locking the car. I crossed the street and headed to the hotel entrance. "Where are you headed?" the doorman asked. "To the party," I replied. "I'm a saxophonist." The doorman looked at some paper, then at my case, and unexpectedly said, "Go ahead," smiling. Pleased that I didn't have to flash a police ID, I went inside. At some corporate event, an atmosphere of merriment prevailed. Making sure that none of the employees paid attention to me, I headed for the elevator. After a few seconds, I found myself on the desired floor where the corridor was already empty. Sensing the smell of herbs, I thought, well, of course, a triple combo. Alcohol, kinky as *X, and weed. Here it is, the dream of an aging playboy. At the designated room, I stopped, carefully placing my cane against the wall and putting the case on the floor. Squatting down, I pulled out a rifle. For a moment, I hesitated, but then dismissed the last doubts. I attached the magazine and silencer, pulled the bolt, applied a universal key, and the lock clicked, opening the door. It became clear right away that real *X is much more vivid and emotional than on the screen. Picturesque scenes unfolded before me, groups of like-minded people, and the CEO patiently awaited his turn, holding in his hand, well, you understand what. Watching all this drama, my gaze caught Karina's eyes. Full of passion, she suddenly screamed, trying to stop her dark-skinned partners. Everyone in the room froze, turning their heads in my direction. I greeted politely and pressed the trigger. The rifle in my hands clicked for the last time, and sudden silence filled the room. Only the sound of the last ejected cartridge, bouncing and rolling on the floor, interrupted this silence. A bluish smoke wafted from the silencer, and the air carried the scent of burnt powder, blood, and weed.